Hi guys, and welcome back to Ravenbrook Farmstead. If you're new here, I'm Natalie. I'm growing in zone 5B in Maine. And today is a really exciting day because I'm going to be harvesting multiple crops actually. So far this season I've mostly only been harvesting greens, but now it's the end of June and other things are starting to come into season. And so I'm going to be harvesting a little bit more, and I wanted to take you guys with me. The first thing I'm going to be harvesting is this lettuce. This is Optima, and I mentioned in my last video that it has been my favorite this year. It is a really nice like bib or butter lettuce. So if you haven't grown Optima, I highly recommend this variety. It was awesome and fairly heat tolerant. However, since it is going to be July tomorrow and the temperatures are getting up, it is starting to look like it's going to bolt, and so I want to cut all of this back and preserve it just to keep it from getting too bitter. Because tomorrow's supposed to be in the 90s, and I know that all of this will be gone if I don't take it out today. So some heads are worse than others, so I'll give you guys an example. So this guy already is kind of bolting a little bit. It's a little bit past prime, and I'm sure that if I taste this, it's probably starting to taste a little bit bitter. No. It's still edible if I mix into a salad, but I probably wouldn't have a salad of just this because it is a little bitter. That is really the edge of, I think, what I can accomplish. But some heads that had a little bit more shade are still quite nice. Cut this guy out. Ooh, a little bit of funkiness, but this head is still pretty nice. So I'm just going to take this all in and store it in Ziploc bags with maybe a moist paper towel to keep it fresh. And then we're going to be eating a lot of salads in the next couple of days. Look at that, isn't that pretty? I just love it. Right. And now that I'm cutting all this out, I might get some beets to put in here just to get that going for a slightly later harvest or something else. I do have to do a little bit of research at what's going to do well in the heat of the summer. So that is going to be my task this weekend, is to find something else to fill this spot. The next thing I'm going to harvest is some of this kale. And I'm not harvesting it because it needs to go necessarily, but there's a lot here, and I think I'm going to use some in dinner that I'm making tonight. So I'm going to harvest some of these leaves. I also want to take all of this spinach out. So this is kind of gone to seed already, which is fine. But I think what I want to do is pull all this out and then just remove the leaves and maybe freeze them or just use them in smoothies or things like that. At this point, because it's bolted, it doesn't taste as good as it did when it was younger. A bit more of a tougher texture, which is why I might use it more in soups or in smoothies. But I'm not sure if I have time to do that today, so this might be a tomorrow or Saturday project. It's already bolted, so I'm not too concerned about the heat coming up, but this is on my to-do list as well. So next up, we're going to harvest snap peas. So these are a red snap pea variety. They're called Royal Snap, and they're beautiful, but they don't taste quite as sweet as traditional ones. And so I keep debating, because I grew these last year, and I loved the way they looked. They have these beautiful purple flowers, but I'm not necessarily sold on how they taste. They taste great, but the regular varieties I think are a little bit sweeter. And so I tend to prefer eating those. However, there's something to be said for having a beautiful garden and enjoying the way things look. And it's not that they're not sweet, because they are. I tried a different variety last year. I can't remember what the variety was called. And it was similar. It wasn't as sweet as the regular ones, but it was really beautiful. Now, my hope was that this would trellis all the way up, so above me is an arch, but it stayed pretty low. And I think that that was partially my fault, because I had a plan to remove this wire here and replace it with something more sturdy, so like an actual cattle panel. And I just I removed it as if I was going to do it, and then we ended up deciding not to replace it. And so these grew and flopped over, and I got behind on supporting it. And so a lot of it's sagging, and I think that's why it didn't grow up as well. So that was my fault, but maybe it will still grow up as the season progresses. One thing, they always say that snap peas are a spring thing, and that at a certain point it's good to pull them. Last year I never pulled my snap peas. I kept them up, and I found that I got a couple of different waves of flowers. So even in the late fall, once it got cool again, I got a lot of flowers and a second round of snap peas. And so I might try that again this year and not bother with pulling and replanting because it's a bit of a hassle and I'm not sure that I want to dedicate the time to it. For sure, the second wave was not as prolific as this first one. I also have a regular, more standard snap pea. Again, I don't remember what the variety of this was. And the germination was not really good on this, actually. I had to plant them twice because I think I only got a few sprouts from the first direct sow. So there's not as much of them as there are of the other variety, just because the germination on the Royal Snap was really good. It was like 100% from what I sowed. And I think these ones also are not quite as sweet as the varieties I tried last year. So I tried one called the super sweet something snap pea. And those were true to name very sweet, which I liked. I think I tried to find those and they were sold out. So I might do that again next year. I also tried last year the Cascadia, I think, or Cascade. And I didn't like those as much. They weren't, the plants didn't grow as big. The snap peas weren't quite as sweet. So I don't know if I'll try that particular variety as well. I also have these beets that some of them might be ready to go. So you can see in here, if I can get it to focus, some of these nice heads starting to poke up. And so I might pull a couple and see how big they are. I have beets in, I think 2 or 3 of these beds. So we're just gonna find one that looks particularly good and pull it up and see what it looks like. Oh, look at that, guys. This is a golden beet. And that's lovely. It could be a little bit bigger, but I'm actually pretty happy with that. And that's just because it's starting to shade out some of the peppers and encroach on the tomatoes. So I think these are probably ready to go. All right, guys, one last thing I'm gonna harvest today, and that is some wild strawberries. So all of this back here are wild strawberries. Let's see if I can find a good one. They are teeny tiny and super delicious. And so I'm gonna be kind of going through this ground cover with the help of Finny. And we're gonna pick out some strawberries. Oh, buddy. Yeah. All right, guys, so here is my first harvest of the season. I've got a little bit of the strawberries. So these are the Chioggia beets and golden beets, 2 different types of snap peas, a whole lot of lettuce, and some kale. I'm quite pleased for being my first haul of the season. So definitely stay tuned to what else is going to be coming out of our garden as the season progresses. I am really confident that this is going to be a better year than last year, and I feel like last year was pretty good. So like this video if you got something out of it, or if you enjoy just watching people pick vegetables, and subscribe for more. And until next time, bye guys.